Welcome to The Big Picture. I'm Phil Arno. I'm sure most of you have noticed that lately in our country, there's been quite a divide. A lot of us versus them. Quite frankly, I'm a little ashamed to say that most of what divides our country is driven by so-called journalists and big social media corporations that have agendas, none of which have anything to do with the good of the country, its people, or its future. This trend is accelerating, and I fear will continue to get worse unless there's a major backlash. I'm not sure what form that would take, but certainly economics could play a part. For instance, Bud Light, Target. When things get too outrageous, there is a price to pay. It seems to me that there are a few different groups of people out there who think and gather information in this world differently. Some people are just down-to-earth common sense. They see or hear something, and it's either logical or it's bull. For example, if somebody goes into a store and takes, say, under $998 worth of stuff, and then walks out without paying, they're breaking the law and should be stopped. They should be arrested. They should be put in jail. And if they've broken the law time after time after time, they should stay in jail. No bail, have a trial, go through the process the way the laws were intended. And it doesn't matter what color their skin is or who they are or where they came from. What matters is their behavior, what they've done. Common sense? Some people would say so, but not everyone. Some aren't so logical. They listen. They get their opinions from others rather than thinking. All too often, those others are the media. The well-crafted message from a media who has thrown all journalistic integrity out the window. In the words of a very senior statesman, this is no joke. The media sends the message that because society is unfair, because some groups of people have been oppressed in the past, that today we need to ignore some behavior, excuse it, or treat people differently based on how much money they have or what group they belong to. Is that common sense? Really? How many people really believe that? Half the nation? More? Now, as simple as that sounds, folks, as cut and dried, if you go on social media or if you pay attention to polls, it seems like the world is in the grips of a powerful media platform that wields just enough power to swing votes, influence elections, and steer the country down a path very different than the founders intended, and countless veterans fought to preserve. If you don't believe me, just watch this short example of how the media plays political games with a very finely tuned technique.
Have you noticed how some in the media just suck up to some politicians?
I'm struck just in your presence.
Struck in her presence.
Looking you in the eye with your passion that you are displaying.
Republicans are treated differently.
If I may finish just answering,
well, let me
this is really important.
I'm going to go ahead and interrupt you here.
On the DOJ
Are you comfortable
and the
with
FBI,
that term? Let's just, just on my question, though, Governor.
Excuse me.
Aggressive interviews are easy to notice, but some bias is more subtle. For example,
what a great campaign.
The media have always covered Iowa caucus victory speeches.
We're going to want to listen in very, very closely.
Thank you, Iowa.
But this year, when Trump won,
thank you. We love you all.
CNN cut away from his speech.
Here he is right now under my voice. You hear him repeating his anti-immigrant rhetoric.
Actually, no, Jake. You hear him. We don't. CNN wouldn't let us actually listen to Trump and decide for ourselves. MSNBC showed none of Trump's speech. Rachel Maddow said,
"We will let you know if there's any news made."
Maddow says it's not responsible to broadcast Trump live because he lies so much. But we reporters can point that out. instead of cutting away when he talks. I've repeatedly reported on Trump's lies. Trump lies even about unimportant things like the crowd at his inauguration, the ratings of his TV show. But Biden lies too. Here he lies about doing well in law school.
Ended up in the top half of my class.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class.
He also lied when he said,
I have never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period.
I shouldn't be surprised that the media treat Republicans differently. For every Republican in newsrooms, there are 10 Democrats. And now NPR has actually hired this woman to be its new CEO. She not only tweeted, Trump's a racist, but during BLM looting said, sure, looting is counterproductive, but it's fine because what they're looting comes from a system of oppression. She's now the boss of government-funded radio? Yes. Here's another example.
The governor of Texas refuses to give in to federal law.
Recently, reporters suddenly got very upset about rule of law.
The governor of Texas refuses to give in to federal law.
The media can't believe that Texas politicians put up a fence and won't remove it even after the feds told them to. But when it comes to sanctuary cities, the tone is very different.
Communities that shield undocumented immigrants by not reporting offenses to immigration enforcement.
They choose not to follow federal immigration laws.
They simply choose not to follow the law. They don't refuse like Texas does.
The governor of Texas refuses to give in to federal law.
Finally, the way the media labels politicians is just biased. Argentina's new president is a libertarian who promises to take a chainsaw to big government. So the media call him far-right.
Far-right radical.
Far-right Javier Milei.
Far-right Javier Milei.
Far-right libertarian Javier Milei.
At least she calls him libertarian, but libertarians aren't far-right. Most of us support ending wars, free trade, gay marriage, and all sorts of things far from far-right.
Milei supports legalizing the sale of human organs.
Maybe you oppose organ markets, but it's not far-right. Conservatives are more likely to oppose organ sales. The shallow media just label anyone who doesn't agree with them right-wing.
Argentina elected a right-wing former TV host.
Far-right. Far-right and Trump-like.
Donald Trump of Argentina.
He makes Trump almost look like a conventional political candidate.
He is nothing like Trump.
Economist Daniel DiMartino points out that Milei's policies are very different from Trump's.
The only thing that's similar to Trump is that he went against the establishment. He's funny in his speeches. He's charismatic. He has crazy hair. But that's it. I mean, this is a guy who's for free trade. This is a guy with very set on principles, who's very smart on economics.
The media eagerly cover protesters who oppose Milei's cutting the size of government.
Thousands are attending at demonstrations opposing his drastic cuts to public spending.
Media call most any budget cut drastic, slash and burn, astronomical, draconian. But at least in Argentina, the proposed cuts are big. A lot of people don't like this. Unions are protesting.
In Argentina, it's very popular to protest and block streets.
It's the second protest against him this month.
But President Milei did something different because some union members get welfare payments.
He said that anybody who blocks a street illegally will lose all welfare benefits. Guess what happened? No streets were blocked.
Who knew that protesters blocking streets could be stopped by threatening their government handouts? You won't hear it from the leftist media. Libertarians get trashed. Republicans get interrupted and their speeches cut off. But Democrats largely get a pass, even if you can't tell what they say.
Beer brewed here, it is used to make the brew beer in this refinery. Oh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes.
But there is some good news. Today, more people ignore leftist media. CNN's primetime viewership fell behind the History channels recently. More people now get their news from independent journalists who publish in places like Substack and YouTube. Like us, it's a good trend because we're more thoughtful than the silly people on TV.
Mr. President, what did you order?
Chocolate chip.
Oh, yeah. Now, if only we could get the media to stick to ice cream and forget about trying to figure out the important stuff. Welcome back to The Big Picture. On this program, I'm talking about how the media has lost its way. When I started out in this business many, many years ago, there was a certain pride, a certain standard in this business. When we were assigned a story, our job was to come back with the facts of what was happening and relay those facts to you, our audience. We were supposed to try and put our personal opinions aside and tell you what we saw. It wasn't our job to slant the story or weigh in on what you should think about it. As long as we were accurate and did our best to tell every aspect of what was going on, we gave you what you needed to make up your mind and form your own opinion. That, my friends, is a respect that journalists had for the people they served. If he or she did their job, then the people, and most importantly, the truth, were served. I'm so very, very sorry to say that there are few, if any, such professionals left in the media today. I'll give you another example. So much has been made of the January 6th, quote-unquote, rebellion. A big part of that is that Donald Trump, in his speech that day, said we should march down to the Capitol for fairness, for democracy. The press, the media, and the Democrat politicians talked about how treasonous it was, how he was fomenting sedition, rebellion. They not only condemned Trump with their words, he was arrested, charged with a crime. Has the media ever shown you this to be objective, to be fair?
To demand that Congress do the right thing and only count the electors who have been lawfully slated. I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. Today we will see whether Republicans stand strong for integrity of our elections, but whether or not they stand strong for our country.
Now, Trump has been charged with crimes, a total of 91 counts, some of which are a direct result of the speech that you just heard. Listen now to some Democrats using speech that I might say is just a tad more inflammatory, and take a guess how the press has handled this speech and how many charges have been preferred because of all the damage and deaths that connected with the riots that took place over the summer of 2020 because of just such speech.
The House managers spoke about rhetoric, about a constant drumbeat of heated language. Well, as I'm sure everyone watching expected, we need to show you some of their own words.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
You got to be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school.
If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
Okay.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
And you push back on them, and you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
People will do what they do.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
We're going to go in there, we're going to impeach the
This is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be? Does one of us have to come out alive?
And there's more.
I promise to fight every single day. One, I'm a fighter and I'm relentless, but I'm a fighter and I'm relentless. A fighter and I'm relentless. I will fight like hell.
But the way I see it now is that we pick ourselves up and we fight back. That's what I think it's all about. We stand up and we fight back. We do not back down. We do not compromise, not today, not tomorrow, not ever. You can either lie down, you can whimper, you can pull up in a ball, you can decide to move to Canada, or you can stand your ground and fight back. And that's what it's about. We do fight back, but we are going to fight back. We are not turning this country over to what Donald Trump has sold. We are just not. Look, people are upset and they're right to be upset. Now we can whimper, we can whine, or we can fight back. Me, I'm here to fight back. I'm here to fight back. We still have a fight on our hands. Fight hard for the changes Americans are demanding. Get in the fight. We got to get on our front foot and fight back. Problems, we call them out and we fight back. I'm in this fight. I am fighting. Get in this fight. Get in this fight. We fought back. I am not afraid of a fight. I am in this fight all the way. You don't get what you don't fight for. Our fight. We are in this fight for our lives.
But we are going to make sure that this fight does not end tonight.
This is a fight for our lives, the lives of our friends and family members and neighbors. It is a fight, and it is a fight that we're going to work to make sure continues. It's a fight. It is a fight. It is a fight, and that's what this fight is for.
Well, I'm wired to fight anyone who isn't doing their job for us. I'm John Tester, and you damn right I approve this message.
One of the other crimes Trump is charged with is failing to accept the result of the election. He's a threat to democracy for denying the electoral process, calling the election illegitimate, specifically in the state of Georgia. I wonder if anyone else has ever denied the legitimacy of an election.
If Stacey Abrams doesn't win in Georgia, they stole it. It's clear. It's clear. And I say that publicly, it's clear.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
He knows he's an illegitimate president. He knows that there were a bunch of different reasons why the election turned out the way it did.
Votes remain to be counted. There are voices that were waiting to be heard.
And I will not concede.
And I respect where you're coming from, and I respect the issues that you're raising. You're not answering the question. Do you think it was... You're not using the word legitimate.
You have forged relationships with many presidents. Do you plan on trying to forge a relationship with Donald Trump?
You know, I believe in forgiveness. I believe in trying to work with people. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very difficult. I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
You do not consider him a legitimate president. Why is that?
I think the Russians participated in helping this man get elected, and they helped destroy the candidacy of Hillary Clinton. I don't plan to attend the inauguration. It will be the first one that I miss since I've been in the Congress. You cannot be at home with something that you feel that is wrong.
That's going to send a big message to a lot of people in this country that you don't believe he's a legitimate president.
I think there was a conspiracy on the part of the Russians and others to help him get elected. That's not right. That's not fair. That's not the open democratic process.
Well, folks, as you know, even those of you who hate the man No one has ever been charged with a crime for saying that an election was rigged or illegitimate. George W. Bush was accused of stealing the election in 2000. John Kerry said he should have won his bid for the presidency. Hey, if you think that baseball is our national pastime, take a second guess. Denying elections seems to have taken over. But in our proud history, we have a new and, dare I say, dangerous phenomena. For the first time that I know of, a political party in this country is trying to remove their chief political opponent, not by running a campaign on issues, but by arresting him with the police powers that they subjectively control, the powers that for 250 years have been honored and sacred and have separated us from the Russias and the Cubas and the Chinas and the Venezuelas of the world. What has that made for our country? I'm not sure, but one thing I am sure of, don't expect a straight answer from what used to be your trusted media.
There was a time when people believed everything they heard on TV. This was an age when only men were allowed to read the news. And one anchor man was more man than the rest.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy? Damn it! Who typed a question mark on the teleprompter?
And now, just to change up a bit, this being April, I want to bring you the glorious news that will warm your hearts and make you proud of your home state. And that intellectual giant of a governor that we have, it's official, folks. Of all 50 states, can you imagine? New York comes in first. Yes, you heard it here before anywhere else in the all-knowing media. This year, New York leads the nation as the state with the highest tax burden on its citizens, just barely beating out Hawaii by a mere 0.2%. Would you look at that? But you know what? If you're disappointed that we just barely squeaked out that win, then take heart, folks. If we can take a look at the FBI's Uniform Crime Report for the country, we'll see that no one, not one state in our glorious union, can hold a candle to us when it comes to crime. That's right, folks. We here in New York can be comfortable in the knowledge that crime in our home state rose more between 2021 and 2022 under our proud Democrat leaders, a whopping 39.2% compared to the next closest state, Alabama, who doesn't even come close to us at a mere 17.4% rise. Wow. Congratulations to us. And it gets even better. In our state, property crime rates between 2021 and 2022, while most states saw a decline in that period, or just a slight rise, we don't mess around. According to the FBI Uniform Crime Report, during that period, property crimes in New York State rose, are you ready? 64.3%. Now, I'm not sure here, folks, but I don't think that the FBI is counting the tax burden on New Yorkers as a crime, not in their report. If they did, well, that would be a whole different show. Now that I've cheered everybody up, I will leave you to, just like I will be doing, reach for that comforting aspirin jar. Until next time, thank you for enduring this big picture. I always appreciate it when I can vent to you instead of paying the therapist, who rarely helps anyway. So I'm going to see you next time on The Big Picture. We appreciate you watching and bearing with shows like this. Thank you for watching WBBZ. We're your local hometown station for better or for worse. We'll see you next time.